Happy Monday, Musers. Today, talking about the fact that everyone serves a purpose. This can be challenging because there are some people in our lives that we're just wondering why they're there. But you have to think about, if they weren't there, where would you learn a lesson? I remember when I was a kid talking to Daddy about flies and hating the fact that flies are here, and trying my best to understand why they exist. Why in creation would God put such an annoying pest on this earth? And I remember very clearly, Daddy said, if it weren't for flies, you wouldn't move. You probably would be lazy. And I remember thinking, but that doesn't make sense. But of course, time goes by, you get older, and you think about that. The fact that even something so simple as a fly has a purpose to make sure you have movement. Even if it's because you just got to swat it, you got to move. So we transfer that over into humanity. And there are some people who I truly have said, you know what, Lord, I don't understand why this person is here, why they exist, what are they doing. We can talk about the leadership in our country. We can talk about people we know. We can talk about coworkers, family members. But every single person, that person who annoys you the most, that person is there to actually test how you behave when you are annoyed. Are you going to give them the same energy that they give you? Or are you going to come up higher? The person who is most loving and kind, how do you receive that? Do you receive in gratitude? Are you able to reciprocate that same loving kindness that they show to you? The people who are in the store, moving too slow in the line, they have 50 items when it says 5 items or less. How are you going to respond to the fact that they're trying to cheat the system and no one's going to check them on it? That person has a purpose. I just had a scenario a little bit ago wherein a gentleman and I guess his granddaughter, maybe his daughter, were in the store, and unfortunately they didn't have enough money to pay for the purchase. So I guess he thought it was a teachable moment to have the little girl figure out what she got to put back. This was at the expense of a line of patrons behind me. One lady in front of me, she only had one item, and she was ready to go. She was being patient. People are behind me, and you can see the people shifting back and forth. Like, come on, man, figure this out. And why are you doing this? Make a decision. You can hear the thoughts because you can feel the environment and the tension. And this is a burly kind of a man, so you have to feel like, wow, is this a mean man? How do I approach this? Do I just pop off? What do I do? Then at that time, I said, you know what? This person serves a purpose as well, because they're teaching me how do I behave when there's a person in need who, for all intents and purposes, his ego was a little bit fractured because he's having to explain to the child that he doesn't have enough money. So he's holding the 2 denominations in his hand, which is all he has. And what the bill is coming up to is going to go over that. So I'm having to say, well, you know what, Lord, what am I supposed to learn in this moment? What I'm supposed to learn is how to show the love of Christ. So just slide some money and put it in his hand. Here, sir, get whatever it is that you need. Well, the daughter is going to learn a lesson. He is going to learn a lesson. The people behind me learn a lesson. The cashier learns a lesson. And then I have to walk away and say, you know what, God, that man served a purpose in my life today because I had to learn what do I do when I'm annoyed. But it wasn't about me. That's a person in need who really was trying to make a hard decision and they couldn't figure out how to make it. And so unfortunately, they were transferring the anger to the child. So in this instance, the child even learned a lesson that humanity still counts. And we all have a purpose. Who's to say? She may have looked at me as a woman of a different color and maybe thought differently. I don't know. But the bottom line is that situation served a purpose in my life. I have another scenario today wherein I have to go check on property for someone. And in that scenario, there was someone who was behaving outside of the guidelines of living at that complex. What do I do? All of these instances, we face them every day. These are just a few that I faced just on today. But there are things that you're facing every single day, and you're probably wondering, why, God, why am I dealing with this person? Maybe you're a supervisor and you can't figure out why you have staff members that try your last nerve. Maybe you have a family member that you just can't understand why they can't get their act together. Any litany of things. But every single one of those people serve a purpose, even if it's to make us pray more, give us more patience, show us how to love beyond boundaries. All of those things come into the same category, fall under the same umbrella. On everyone serves a purpose. And if we go through life looking at it like that, we won't get as worked up over certain things. We won't react the same way that we normally have. We will be able to sit back and say, you know what, God, what am I supposed to learn from this person? What am I supposed to get from this scenario? Because for some reason, you've brought me to this. So I need to learn whatever the lesson is you need me to learn. Because when all is said and done, even I serve a purpose for somebody. And I pray that I can be a good vessel that you can help somebody else grow closer to you, and not someone who's going to push people further away from the love of God. So the rest of this week, as things come across your path and you're trying to figure out how to make certain decisions and how to handle certain people, stop and say, Lord, this person serves a purpose in my life. What is it? Teach me that lesson so I can be a better me. Thanks for joining in. Have a good night.